Yeah.
They can only love you as much as they love themselves, as well as you can only love them as much as you love you. And if you begin working on a journey of loving yourself, you'll learn how to separate yourself from those places where you are no longer actually in that space of distress. Because now you can see and identify, wait, this isn't about me. This person's got their own stuff going on. And they're only reacting from their own space. It's all about perspective and understanding the perspective. We can only react and respond from the lenses of our own experience. And each person is actually doing that. But how do we come to understand that? It's a work. It's not something like you probably never even thought of that until I'm sitting here saying it today. It's not something that we just wake up with and go, oh, this is how it works. It's a process. And it's a long process to get there.
And that's what I've been trying to tell him. I'm like, the things that you're doing, they're not a reflection of me. That ugliness in you is a reflection of you. But I'm just like the dumping person, and he's just, and then it's like, we have a kid together and I want to break generational curses. I don't want to put on him what was, put on either of us through our parents' divorce. But he just doesn't, it's like he does good and then he's bam, and it's just a constant emotional roller coaster with him. And then trying not to internalize it or take it personally, it's just so much sometimes.
So when we're looking at the art of learning self-love, beginning with us will allow us to eventually be able to meet the other party. It's, since you're already in a marriage, one thing the two of you two could do is work on something that allows you both to work together.
Right.
Something that will be enjoyable. How do you spend each day? How do you lift the other person up? Because obviously you both are wounded. And you're both in a space that need to be lifted. So it's identifying what it is that expresses love to you, for him to do something that gives you love, as well as you doing something for him. And because of the fact that he is so in such a harsh state and environment at this moment for you, what you can do is a small little act of love each day, and it will change the reactions. Because when we react to somebody because of the way that they're being, we're going to get a reaction from the other side. But when we respond to them, what are we going to do? We're going to end up giving them an opportunity to self-analyze, and actually give them the space where they could actually respond instead of react themselves. But it's literally becoming in a space where we're aware of us and how we are responding, because it really doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. Control of another is an illusion. That's a complete illusion. We cannot control anything except us.
Right.
That's all we've got. So no matter what he's saying or what he's doing or how he's acting, none of that really, once we learn how, in the moment when it's happening, we don't understand this. But we can actually train ourselves not to take on somebody else's behavior.
Right.
We don't have to indulge in it. Just because they're acting a mess doesn't mean we have to be a mess.
The problem with him is that
Matthew's ready to say something. That man's ready to jump.
Oh my God.
No, it's easier said than done. Like, it really is. Like, it's going to take a lot of practice. I'm a wellness life coach by trade, and it does take that practice, and it's just like an everyday kind of thing until it adds up over time. So it kind of creates a compound effect. Like she says, well, if you do that once a day, even to start, it turns that flywheel. And then the more often you do that flywheel, it gets easier and easier. Because I have that problem separating my emotions from my wife as well. So I totally feel you there.
Well, the problem is he dumps. So he's always dumping his emotions. And then, and all that stuff, like I'm always trying to just love him and show him love and not internalize that stuff and not take it personally. But it's like, he's relentless, you know. It's just like bam, bam, bam. And then it's like, man, I'm a human. Like, how can we take so much of being somebody's emotional punching bag? And it's like, I'm being punished for every girl in the world that he has like these woman hating, like, I don't mean to make him sound like he's a beating woman, you know, like he's a woman hater in that way, but he has a lot of anger around women and
Okay.
what he perceives women to be. And that's why he loves me, because I'm not like most women. Like, I'm a very enlightened, very spiritual woman. And I say that humbly, not from a place of arrogance,
Right.
but like, I know myself. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. I know the toxic traits of myself. I know the ways in which I withhold love. Like, I do all that shadow work, but it's just he wants everything instant. As soon as he snaps his fingers, he wants like instant. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way.
So
You know?
instead of the defense, because it has gotten to a place where you become defensive because it is so aggressive.
Right.
It's an aggressive approach. So because of his aggressive approach, you've become defensive. In the defense, instead, what if you didn't do it?
Yeah.
So that he could learn that you can't talk to me this way.
Yeah.
It's not acceptable. How would he respond to that?
He just keeps on, like, he won't, you know what I mean? He's one of those people that, like, he wants the last word, and he's just, you know. And I know, like, me working on my own self has been giving him permission. And I guess maybe that's just still the same thing where I'm like here and I'm like, come up here, you know. And it's like me wanting that same thing, like snap, you know, wanting him to just get it, you know. But
now, did you hear what you just
I
said,
guess
hon?
it feels like we take a step forward and 2 steps back, and a step forward and 2 steps back. And I'm like, man,
But
come
Kathy,
on.
did you hear what you just said?
Yeah, about wanting him, like, I want him to work on his craft.
As much as he does. And this is why you two are together. This is
Yeah.
the reason you two are together, because you both want the same. And you both had it in the beginning and both would snap to it in the beginning. But somewhere along the road, you both have gotten complacent in your relation. So now it becomes the burden instead of the reactive, oh, I want to. So in the beginning, what was the reason you fell in love with him?
His heart. He's, you know, like, I could see past all that, you know, like his family, you know. I met him through his brother's wife, and he was just, you could tell he was a good person. They were always ragging on him, and I saw myself in him, you know. Like, I've always been the black sheep of the family. I've always been an underdog and gone against the grain of, you know, like, society. Like, I've never been a follower. I'm a total indigo child. And, you know, like, I always noticed that people just, you know, when you're not meeting their expectations, they just want to toss you on the curb, right? And that's how I always felt. And, you know, it's like everyone's always has a problem, you know, with me. Like, that's how I felt growing up. Like, I could never measure up. I could never please anyone, like, no matter what I was doing. And I'm like, man, I'm doing the best I can. And so, like, I started recognizing that same thing in other people, and, like, I was able to develop compassion. And, you know, and then I sit there and I saw how his family just, well, let's just wash our hands of with him. He's a hot mess. But, like, he was doing all these good things. And the more I would talk to him, and I had prayed, and I told God one day, because I moved here, and I got into another crappy relationship, like, same hamster wheel, just a different suit, you know? And I'm like, I was like, God, obviously my picker's broken. Like, I don't know. You know who's right
It
for me.
sounds
Like,
like
I'm
me talking to
literally,
you. Okay, God, what am
I
I
was
doing
like,
here?
I literally need you to tell me in my ear, like, you are picking wrong, or this is the one, or something. And I was on my way. I had stopped over at his brother's house, and I was waiting on his wife. I was killing time before a date. And I left. I remember being like sad to leave because I was enjoying our connection that we were having. And but I was just kind of like, I'm going on my date. And I went to turn left, and I literally heard, you are picking wrong. And I thought, okay. And then we had a baby together. I had 11 miscarriages before him. I was living in Hawaii before I moved here. Like, I got signs to move here like every day when I lived in Hawaii. And then, in hindsight, I had been getting signs to move here since 2012, you know?
So here's where you
So,
met him, right?
yeah, when I met him here, when I moved here, like, and it
So
just
you
seemed like,
felt a drawing there anyways, and isn't that how, the spirit works? The spirit does cause a drawing onto where we're supposed to be.
yeah.
So,
And then
and
it's just that
obviously getting
listening.
married, you had exuberant amounts of love in the beginning, but
Yeah.
something along the way has caused a breakdown. And it may be the fact that when the first moment you were offended, you didn't say anything because you didn't want to hurt his feelings because he has a good heart. Or it was a situation that you both like probably offended each other and just didn't want to deal with. And if it was easier to walk away from, well, when those little things don't get resolved, they start to compile. And
Right.
then it's like literally walking across the rug in the living room, and you've got this big old mountain in the middle of it. And how do you get across the mountain to go to the couch? You're not going to get there.
Yeah.
You literally keep stumbling over the stuff that's in the
And
way.
that's where I'm at, is I've learned the more you fight against the universe, the more you try to swim upstream and prevent everything you
Yes.
don't want to happen to you, like the more you keep attracting that same stuff that you don't want to attract to you. So
What we think about, we bring about. Yes.
right. And so I just started in the last couple of years of just letting life unfold and stop trying to control like how it goes, and stop trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
I shared a meme yesterday. It was a little baby sitting there with that little toy that has all the stars. It's got the star in the shape in its hand, trying to put it in, and it wasn't going through, and it's trying all these spaces, takes the lid off, throws it in there, and then puts the lid back on, and the baby's like, yeah, I'm like, the baby was so energetic, like, yep, I figured you out. There was a no, don't ever limit yourself. There's always a new way. We
Right.
can always create a way.
Right.
We don't have to give up. We can always create a way, but everybody has to be willing. There has to be two
And I
willing
think
parties.
that's why I'm so upset, is just fighting that spirit of just being like, but that's what I always do when things get hard. I'm just like, forget it, because I don't want to fight. I'm tired of fighting. I've been fighting my whole life. I've been fighting, everybody, my parents, this person, that person. Like, I'm mentally drained and exhausted. Like, I just want to go with the flow, and
Today is probably the best day of your life because you just walked into the art of learning self-love. And that is what I'm hearing. It's not about anything or anyone else. It's about us, and it's our own personal condition. And what we're seeing in others is the reflection of what we're struggling with within ourselves.
Agreed.
And that's why anybody ends up in the art of learning self-love, because we have to go, oh, it's time for me. I've been
And I
doing
think that's what
this
I've been
all
trying
wrong.
to convey to him too, is I'm like, let me work on me. Let me be okay so I can meet you on whatever playing field. But the thing is it's like one-sided. It's like, and that's just my own perception, because I do think that he's trying to self-love and work on his inner demons.
Mhm.
But it's like two people that should have done that before they got into a relationship, And I
Well,
thought I was like, I thought we
it
were.
doesn't matter when. It really doesn't matter when. And I'm going to tell you, it's the minute you realize it's the perfect time. You're always right on time.
Yeah,
Even if it doesn't feel like it, you're exactly where you're supposed to be every time, no matter how it feels.
I know. I needed to hear that.
No matter how it feels, you're always right on time. We are never out of alignment. We're never out of place. We're just learning a lesson.
Yeah,
And there's something about us that's needing to grow. There's something about us that needs to expand. There's something about us that needs to change. Something that we're not comfortable with anymore about ourselves. When we're looking at another and going, why are you doing this? What we need to be doing is, how am I doing this to myself?
right.
How am I doing this to me? And when we do that, then I can go, oh, you know what? It was this, this, and this. And it's no longer that other person. It's just that person just going to be the trigger that unraveled your mess within.
Right.
And it's okay because now you're aware. So now you can say, okay, I need to turn inward and work on me. What do I need first? So if you could change what's happening right now with your spouse, what would you be changing?
Just go work on himself. Like, leave me alone. You know, like, let me do what I'm doing. You go do you. Let me do me. Like, I mean, because I'm like, that's where I'm at is, you know, I feel like I start to expand and I feel like I start to open up and I start to feel good. And then here he comes, like, hey, come here, come over here, please. Here. And,
So what I'm hearing is you want him to love himself.
yeah, like, I just feel like he's always trying to control me. And, you know, like I said, like, I'm working on myself. I'm trying to figure, you know, myself out, like what my indoctrinations have been and my self-limiting beliefs I've been holding of myself. And, you know, I've been trying to just, you know, fix the things that the toxic traits that I have and working on that. And then, you know, here I have this person. It's like I'm dating
Matthew,
my mom, and it's like
hold on a second.
so triggering for
Kathy,
me.
Kathy, give Matthew a moment to say something to you, because from a male's perspective, that was really, really insightful. And I want that added to this.
So I typed into her that he sees that growth and wants to grow as well. He just doesn't know how to show it, but he feels safe with you in order to lash out as opposed to growing. And it's really about releasing expectations too. I mean, in my head, like if you release all your expectations of the other person, like you just don't expect anything. You give 100%, you expect zero, which is it took me a couple of years to wrap my head around that one. But after I did, it just seemed to work magic, because it doesn't matter what the other person is doing. If I'm getting angry, it is because I'm mad at me or mad at something within me or something that I see isn't matching up exactly like Darla was saying. And I think that because he sees that growth in you, he's not trying to stomp it out. He wants to grow with you, but he doesn't know how to show it. That's the hardest piece.
Yeah.
Very hard, especially for men. We weren't raised in a society where we're told it's okay to be vulnerable and show that emotion of, I'm really actually hurting really bad right now. This is why. He just feels something and he doesn't know how to control it. And it's like, he has to let the beast out, but he only feels safe with you to do that, which is the emotionally sad part, which hurts.
And I always try to give him that space. Like I tell him all the time, I'm like, you know, I'm not trying to control him. I'm not trying to put him in a cage or I'm like, I want to love you in a way that lets you be you and lets you be free to be who you want to be and imperfect, perfect, all of it. Like, that's how I want to love him. And, you know, so I do think that I have my expectation that I do have is like, grow and do your thing on your own, without me, whatever, with me, whatever it is. But like, don't dump on me is the thing, you know, because it's like.
So we've got to work with you to find out how to create your boundary. Where is enough? And where is it that you stand up and say, enough? I love
And
you
I
and
do,
I
and that's
appreciate you.
right. And I
This is
think
where it
it's just
has to.
coming to terms with the fact of like, maybe this is not the right person, for me, because, and I don't want to say that, and I don't want to think that, but it's just, I don't know how to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, like in a way that, like, I'm trying to love him in a way that sets him free. And I feel like no matter what I'm doing, I'm constantly letting him down. And then he's triggering me because I'm like, oh my God, I'm dating my mom. Like, I just turned around and am dating the male version of my mom. That constant emotional manipulation and emotional blackmail and the guilt and the shame and always criticizing. And I'm like, and like I said, my whole life, I've let everybody tell me who I was. And I finally got to an age where I'm like, no, like, just because you perceive something about me does not mean that's my intention. That does not mean that's who I am. Like, I always come from a place of love. I'm always a well-intentioned, well-meaning person. Like, I'm not conniving. I'm not spiteful. I don't look at people and think, how do I get over on this person? I'm not perfect by any means, but
You have a good heart. What you're saying
exactly.
is you have a good heart. Now, I'm going to tell you one thing I have found in a lot of my therapy sessions that I have worked with others, through coaching them. I've found that some people are attracted to a narcissist. When you end up in a narcissistic relationship, what happens is you become the dumping ground. And what it is okay. So let me just give you a little bit of an analogy. Okay. So here's the lion and it's in a cage and it's such a beautiful lion and you're the little bunny and you're hopping up and the lion has such a wonderful story to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, I want to do anything to help the lion because I'm going to figure out how to help the lion get it. And the lion the whole time is informing you and telling you how amazing you are, how he wants to totally take care of you and wants to be there every step of the way. So all I need for you to do is go get me those keys and I'm going to make this perfect world for you. You find a way, you go find the keys and you come back because you're such a helper. And you get those keys and you open that door and guess what? Hand in hand, you begin to skip off into the sunset, but then all of a sudden at sunset, the lion decided you were the devourer and you were his prey and you were his food. And that's what happens, narcissist. You now just gave him everything you wanted, but then you were destroyed. That's what the narcissist will do. I mean, and it is so hard to come back from that space. When you've endured a narcissist, it totally messes you up mentally. It makes you see things differently. You don't believe in yourself. You lose self-respect. You lose all of these fundamental truths of who you really are, where because they have now swayed you to being a problem. Because every time they can make you the problem, they look good.
Right.
Because now if they didn't do anything wrong, they're going to come and make that smooth sailing because they have the gift of a story to tell the world, and they're going to be able to tell you how amazing they are, but how horrible. And it's just they do this over and over until they find out within themselves what they're really doing is they're feeding a sickness within themselves because they're never satisfied.
Yeah.
They're never happy about it, no matter how much you do for them. If it's really truly a narcissistic relationship, no matter what you do, Kathy, that will never change. But what you told me in the beginning is a totally different story. You both saw a good heart.
Yeah.
So he's not a narcissist.
No, he's not a total. I mean, we all have
It
narcissists.
doesn't come from a good heart. He doesn't. He comes in and sees an opportunity and swoons you off your feet, paints you a freaking illusion that makes you think everything's going to be wonderful. And the whole time you're sitting there going, wait a minute, he didn't do this. Why is, but you're still thinking about this story, but that's not what I heard. What I actually heard was this man was extraordinary. He truly met your needs. He was really there, but something happened along the path where you both are just not meeting on the same level. You may have done your own personal growth and changed the level of where you're at, and you're wanting him to come up with you. But because you guys were a couple, you probably should have been sort of communicating about those changes so that you could grow together instead of separate. And it doesn't matter if you grow and grow and grow and grow, whether or not he does, it has to come to a place where you have to accept him where he's at. You're a
Right.
relationship. You vowed to love someone, to be with that someone. Now, if it's dangerous for you, by all means, step out. There's nothing wrong. I'm going to be the first person to tell you, I've been divorced.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
if it is unhealthy, by all means, protect yourself and your child.
Right.
This is not going to be a mentally safe space for your child to grow and develop. Protect your child, if nothing else. But what I'm hearing is that you have a great relationship when you guys are connecting, but there's something that's not connecting you right now. So you're distraught because you don't feel your needs are being met, as well as he's probably distraught and not feeling his needs are met. So let me ask you on the 5 love languages, there's 5. So if we look at the fact that we have quality time, encouraging words, physical touch, acts of service, and gifts. These are the 5 languages that everybody in the world, all the way around, has. In a day, Kathy, what would be, if your husband got up in the morning, what would you want that would make your day absolutely knowing? Would it be the kiss and the hug? Would it be a nice little trinket that you received that you could wear? Would it be the act of service because he poured you a cup of coffee? Or would it be the fact that he walked over and just
Woke up
made
in a
sure,
good mood.
walked over and said, hey, you know what? Let's schedule some time today to go sit and watch a movie or go for a walk. So you get your quality time. You've got your, encouragement. Did he come up and just like praise you for something you did the day before? Do you need those things? What type of communication do you need?
I guess like for me, like I think my love language is I always do stuff for other people, right? Like I'm always, I always see people just stressed or overwhelmed, and I'm like, oh, I can
An
do
act
that
of
for you.
service.
Yeah,
You
so
give
I'm
active
very
services. But
right.
what do you require?
I think it's just I kind of tend to accept like whatever's given to me and see it for what it is. Because I look at him and I'm like, I know he loves me, but he shows me love, and I recognize the ways in which he shows me love, even if it's not the way that.
So there's a lack of communication. Your love tank is completely wiped out. You have nothing in the reserves to pull back out of anymore. You're sitting there empty with this empty tank. The car's going down the road and now the gas ran out. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a language.
Right.
What is yours?
Like the one that I guess when I took the test of that, I was like a combination of all of them. It was kind of like even across the board. So I received and felt loved, with all of them. They were kind of all in the middle.
How many times a day do you refortify yourself with an affirmation?
Not as much as I should.
And how much do you really need them?
Well, that's not true too, because I am constantly reminding myself of, my worth and my value and everything like that. But I think it's just the fact that I have to, like I am tired of like having to remind somebody of my worth and the value that I bring to your life.
This is where everyone is going wrong. This isn't just you going wrong. This is the world has gone wrong. We're all looking outside of us for what we need.
And everything's in here. And I think that's what I want. I'm like, I want the space to go inside and that's exactly it. Everybody's like wanting something from me, and I'm trying to meet everybody demand, and then I'm like, whoa, like, let me breathe. Like, I need to, like, I can't even think straight half the time. I have a 3-year-old that's constantly like, mommy, 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 so, and that's what changed us having a kid, because it changed the whole dynamic of our relationship. It changes the whole dynamic of, who am I? Like, how do you define yourself now that you have a child, right? I had him at 37. I just turned 40. Do you know what I mean? So, so
Yes.
now, like, redefining who I am as far as like mom, and I am Kathy, like,
Mhm.
and then it's like you're trying to balance and juggle all of that between dealing with his emotional outbursts, and it's like I have 2 toddlers, honestly, and I'm like, man, all
That's
like,
just the way it is, hun.
stop
We
screaming
never
at
grow
me.
up. None of us ever really
No,
grow
I
up. We're all just big
I'm not grown
kids.
up.
Well, we're all big kids, hun. He's just not playing very well with you right now.
Exactly. I'm like, oh,
You said I am Kathy. What else are you? Say I am and like love,
Yes.
like keep going, like do a couple of those.
I just want to. I'm all I can breathe. Um, man, I'm ambitious. I have dreams. I've, I have so many great ideas. So many like visions of world peace that have come to me, and like I have this vision and this dream of like opening up this healing center, and and I want somebody to, like, I'm just like, let me get to this point where I can do this. And I feel like I'm like at the transition, the crossroad,
You feel
and
like you're
I
sort of like an arrow pulled back and you're ready,
yeah,
you're being lined up for the trajectory of where you're headed. I felt like
right.
that about a year and a half ago. I thought I was going to break under the pressure.
Yeah, and I'm just like trying to find that balance of having my own time to myself to even like be in my thoughts, but it's like I'm always taking care of the baby and doing the diapers and doing this, and then he's having his emotional stuff, and I'm always trying to make his emotional, like, calm down and give him perspective, gotta
Make
clean the
his.
house. And then he's like, I want you to get a job, and I'm like, man, you guys have me so stretched. I feel like if I go get a job, I'm going to just break. And I'm like telling him this, I'm like, dude, like, I'm trying, like, just I need some space, I need some time.
So here's what's happening. Because you both have a lot of stuff going on, there are 3 things that that are important. 2 have to couple all the time. Finances, communication, and sexuality. Those are the 3 main factors of a relationship. You can have great communication and you can have great finances, and those coupled together can make an excellent relationship. You can have great sex and have great communication, or great financial status and great sex, and you can make anything work. It's when you can couple things. So right now, what I'm hearing is your relationship has dwindled down to where you probably only have one of all 3. You probably don't have the time for the fun because you have the baby, and the baby wakes up and you got to deal with this and that puts a lot of strain on the sexuality that's in the relationship. And when both parties are sexually frustrated, that causes a whole nother disaster within itself. But then when you have those, if you've lost communication because both are feeling so inadequate at the time that you can't really express yourself, that will completely sabotage a relationship in a holy instant. Because the part that brought you both together was because you both felt safe. You both were able to just dump and be completely open and honest with who you were. It's when we start getting in our head space and our ideas and our thoughts that make us separate ourselves from that. And when we separate from that, that's where we begin to get in the spaces where we're no longer connecting with our partner.
Right.
And you both just lost communication and connection. So how would you like to rebuild that?
I feel like I don't even know where to start. Like,
And
you know,
that's an honest assessment. You're right there in a space right there. And I want to honor that, because right now it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay for a moment and acknowledge that that's where you're at. But how do we shift that? We begin by building us. How do I find me again? So what I do in the Art of Learning Self-Love is I have a 90-day course that I teach people. And what I do is I walk you through 90 days of words of affirmation. Some goes with scripture, some without, depending on what your belief systems are. I did it both ways so that nobody had to be worried about it. Some like it with scripture, some people don't, and I'm perfectly good with that. But what I do is 90 days, I walk with people and I teach them how to begin loving themselves by identifying what it is about themselves that they need and want. On top of that, I'm sending affirmations each day to begin building the confidence within you so that you can stand up and be confident in who you are and secure, because it doesn't come from an outside source. It has to come from you. No matter how much you're wanting your husband to give you what you need, he can't until you give you what you need so you can tell him what it is that you need. Because when we're both going, you just need to meet me where I'm, well, what do you want? I can't give you that, and because I don't even know what you need. You know, it has to literally come down to a place. It's not angry anymore. It's, you know what? Here's what I want, and this is what I need, and this is being able to articulate it is what changes it.
Right.
And most of us don't know what we want. We just want to be met. And that's what we crave so desperately, is to be met. How do we get met if I don't know? Do I like flowers? Do I like knowing that I'm going to hear somebody tell me that I am beautiful? Do I need somebody that wants to work diligently with me? Does somebody want to actually hand me a gift? Does somebody want to, you know, but do I want it? The whole key. It doesn't matter, because somebody else could come up and give you every word that you want, but if you're not interested in hearing from them,
right,
you're not going to receive it.
right,
Even if your husband is doing all the things you're saying, if you're not lined up with it yourself, you may not be able to receive it. He might be hearing every word that you're saying and trying to do every word, but if you're not in a position to receive as well as give, you're not going to see that he is, because all you're going to see is what you're lacking. And that lack generally comes from ourselves, where we're not giving ourselves the things that we need so that others can give us what we need as well.
right.
So coming in and identifying what it is that you want and what you need and what you need to receive is the first key.
And I think that's where I'm at, is trying to identify what I want and I need. And I've been trying to tell him that, you know, I'm like, you have got your own, because I recognize like the things that are triggering me are just a reflection of me. When I look at him and I'm like, you know, frustrated with him, I'm like, those are the same things that are in me that I'm needing to heal or let go or release. And then, you know, I think he's in that same state of recognizing that. At least that's the way I perceive that he is. But he wants this instant thing in this instant, you know, if he thinks that he just wants to snap his fingers and it's done. And I'm like, well,
we all want that.
Yeah, I'm like, but right. And his, you know, he's just impatient in that manner. And I'm like, I mean, like you said, it's all about recognizing that I am wanting something and I'm needing something. And I started speaking up and defending myself, and he's not liking that, because I'm like pointing out that, he's used a lot of like emotional blackmail, manipulation. He uses a lot of like when you're vulnerable, and I shared stuff with him from my past, like then he uses it to hurt, when he's losing an argument. And I'm like, no, 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 like this is all gaslighting. Like I'm pointing it out to him, and he's not liking that. And so then it's that whole, where he just starts unleashing, right? And there's days where I'm like big and tough and I can take it, and I just let it roll right off my shoulders. And then there's other days where I'm like, enough.
No one
Stop.
wins an argument at all. It
Right.
never works.
It doesn't. It doesn't. Here, what I want to do real quick with you is I want you to list 5 qualities about yourself that you love.
I love my heart. I love how much love that I have. I love that I see these, I can see these people hurting, and just the humanness of everyone, and how we're all just doing the best that we can with what we were given in life. And I love how much I care. I love that, when everyone else says I don't care and they're trying to put armor on, I'm like, take it off. I love helping people see the light that I see in them, and helping them to have that permission to shine and be themselves and be, who they want to be and what they want to be. And I love that, that I'm not afraid to be vulnerable and cry, and we've spent so much of our time like judging each other, and there's no love and compassion in that judgment. It's stealing another person's free will away from them. It says I'm right and you're wrong. My way's better, yours is wrong. My thoughts are valid, yours aren't.
Oh,
That's what
I'm
judgment
big and
is.
you're small. It's the
Right,
I'm
and
big
that's
and you're
what we
small.
do. Right. And I mean, Facebook created monsters with all of us, because we all tried to put these big pictures onto the world that we were all happy and free and living these best lives. And then, everybody's liking your stuff or hating your stuff, and you're trying to one up and you're trying to be epic. And I recognized that, and I was like, this isn't right. This is wrong. And I started to change that. And I just love that I don't think like everybody else. And I'm not afraid to tell people like there's a different perspective to consider. And, when people come and talk to me, I see through like the things that they're not saying, and I think I've had to learn in the last year that just because you see that doesn't mean you're still taking away their free will by interjecting your help when they didn't ask you for it. And so then I struggle with Eric in that regard, because I'm like, how much of that is what I'm doing to him? Am I, do I have an expectation behind my love? Do I have an agenda? Because I can't control anything but what I put out. I can't make somebody love me. I can't make somebody reciprocate the love that I give out. And that's when I started realizing like the agendas I had behind my love. That I love you, but only if you love me back. And that's what I started changing within myself was I love to love. I love because it feels good to love. I love because that's what my heart wants to align with. And because I want to be, for people what I want for myself. And I don't want to demand anything from somebody that I'm not willing to give. I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, I want you to love me, but then I don't show you any love, or I want you to give me stuff.
You don't want double standards. You're not
Right.
on the cutting edge. You want to be a give and take. You want 2 people on the flow of the world, on the road of life. You want the give and take. You don't want to keep going to the rut, pulling somebody out, bringing them back up to participate. You don't want to go back and forth, is what you're saying, right?
Right. Like,
So I have at this point, what I want, because we're coming up to the end, and I do have a tool that I can use with you that I really want to take everyone through. And I want everyone right now to take a moment and think about the things in their life that they want to dump, the things that are no longer serving us. And I want you to go ahead, if you need to, type it into the chats if you want to, what it is that you want to get rid of, if it's being anxious, if it's being overwhelmed, if it's being angry, frustrated, irritated, if it's feeling lack of love for ourselves or others, if it's being in a painful space that, just emotionally, a lot of times, different feelings and emotions come up from our conversation today. Kathy, I want you, this is my main priority right now, is to bring you through a space where you can start to feel some relief from some of this overwhelming story that you have. Because that's exactly what it is. It's the story. It's the story of what's been happening. It's the story of what you've been through. And I want to be able to bring you through. What I do is a fountain technique. And I actually allow you to cleanse through the full chakras, feel everything, and allow that to come in and cleanse you. So what I want you to do is tell me, from your opinion, what are the feelings wrapped around your emotional distress in reference to your husband right now? What feelings do you have?
Feeling like I'm not good enough and not ever measuring up enough.
Okay.
Just
Do you feel hurt?
I feel like let down and disappointed because I don't feel like I do that to him.
Okay.
I want to
What are your
let
personal feelings?
go of self-doubt, I want to let go of,
Okay.
I want to have real confidence, like I know I'm confident, but I have a lot of self-doubt, a lot of second guessing and
that area. Let's go with you and who you are. Not what's happened now with your husband, because not good enough and feeling let down and disappointment is going to go with all of that story. But the self-doubt, how many times are you mad at yourself in a day?
not really. I don't think
How-
I'm really ever mad at myself.
Okay. But how many hurt feelings? Are you sad? Are you frustrated? Are you anxious? Do you feel overwhelmed?
Overwhelmed.
And does anybody else have any words they would like to drop into the fountain and get rid of?
All the annoyances that add up to make me mad.
Annoyances.
For real.
And Steph?
I would say irritation.
Okay, so I'm going to say definitely that there is some anxiety with a lot of different individuals. Anxiety, really, the irritation, the annoyances, it's just a buildup of our anxiousness. It's our anxiety. Everybody has anxiety, doesn't matter who you are. And you can have, and anxiety can come in many forms. You could be on the ride of your life doing everything that's absolutely wonderful, and your body's still going to dump the exact same chemicals into your body as if you were actually fearful and petrified. The same feelings and emotions and releases are happening in your body. So I want you to understand that. If you are fight and flight in your life, then you're going to be releasing all these endorphins that are not good for your heart. They're not good for your mind. They're not good for your body. And it's causing, it can cause the extra heaviness. I've got plenty of it to show. I had many years of anxiety. But, I love myself in my entirety, but it was because I took myself through this tool, and I was gifted with an opportunity to bring it to other people as well. Because I was introduced to the fountain in a dream, and I got to walk in and get my own healing. And I was given from another realm of permission to bring it back to this world, to this place. I was no longer in a heavenly space. I was actually here on earth, and I can actually bring it back to earth for others to experience. So I know I was in my Akashic records, and then I was moved into the garden so that I could learn about the fountain. So wherever I was taken to in a dream state, it gave me this gift, and I truly give it with my whole heart because it really set me free. So what I want you to do is I want you to think about your stories, where you're at in your life, what's actually happening. But in the same time, I want you to begin to see yourself relaxing your body, but allowing your mind to see before you a garden. So I want you to just close your eyes, get comfortable, get into this space. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, Kathy, because I know you've been through some stuff. I really want to give you an update first. People who've been through severe traumas, and I'm picking up something right now through our discussion, you probably have endured some traumas at some point in your life. I want you to understand what we're going to do. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into a garden. I'm going to take you to a fountain. You're going to walk into that fountain. The waters are going to come in from the heavenlies, from cascading down into the crown through all your chakras. We're going to deposit it in anything that's no longer serving you into the ground, releasing it and bringing back up just the light for you to be healed so that you know what we're doing. I saw the resistance in your body because you didn't know what you were doing. And I just wanted you to feel safe of where I'm taking you. I'm not separating you. You're not going to sleep. I'm not causing anything. You're just releasing your own emotions, and I'm giving you a tool so that you can find peace. Okay. I just want you to get comfortable where you're sitting. You know that everything around you is taken care of. You've got a great friend who's helping you out right now, and you're perfectly safe. I want you to take in a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, in through your nose, out through your mouth. At this place right here, I want you to go ahead and begin to imagine that you are standing at the gate of the garden. As you go into the garden, you can see trees, you can see plants, you can see flowers, all types. Everything that is just luminous and it's flourishing so beautifully. You can see this garden and it is just intense. But in the center, you can see a fountain. This fountain is so massive that you are just intrigued and pulled and drawn to it. From the top of the fountain, you can see a light white cascading water effect that comes down from the top, down through all the different storage spaces of the water. You see it fountaining down, flowing through and coming down. But these levels are so above you that you got to climb up. So I want you to step up, step into in your mind. As you're feeling the waters that are cascading around you, around your feet, and rising up to your ankles, to your calves, to your knees, I want you to go ahead and start walking across the waters, through them, and into the flowing water that's cascading down from the top of this fountain. Cascading down, and now it's over the top of you. I want you to go ahead and open your crown. I want you to be willing to receive this healing waters to wash away any feelings of not feeling good enough. As it's coming down into the crown, now it's coming into your mind. And I want you to go ahead and wrap up all these storylines that you have. I want you to go ahead and let it swirl and swirl and swirl, this light balling effect, bringing all of these things. I'm not good enough. I feel let down, disappointed, have self-doubt, I'm fearful. I feel overwhelmed. I have annoyances that keep building up. And I want to release them. I want them to be removed. So go ahead, any corner, every crevice within the third eye of your mind, that's everything is illuminated. Go ahead and pull it up and pull it into the circling light. Any irritation that's been sitting in there that you want to release and get rid of, go ahead and pull this storyline in. Go ahead and know that you are safe. That this, as soon as you feel it has wrapped up, go ahead and drop it into your throat. When it hits your throat, go ahead and bring up any vibrational story that you've spoken of yourself. Allow this light to heal, cleanse, and wash away any story that you've spoken that has caused you harm or damage. Let that be removed, no longer to cause any pain. Bring that light down into your shoulders, down your arms, into your fingertips, back up into your heart space. And allow this to start washing through your heart, cleansing, healing, restoring any brokenness. Allow this light to pour through and heal the wounds from not feeling good enough, feeling let down and disappointed, areas of self-doubt, feeling overwhelmed, annoyances, as well as irritation. Go ahead and allow that to be washed free and allow your heart to be pliable again. Bring this down into the solar plex and gather up all the irritation and the pain and the discomfort. Go ahead and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, letting it go and circling into this light. Bring that down into the solar plexus, down into the sacral, all the way into the root of the very being of who you are. Go ahead and bring that down your legs, into your calves and into your feet. Take that light and press it down as far into the waters as well, down into the ground, into Mother Gaia, as far away from you as possible. Deposit it there because it's no longer serving you. Bring back just the light. Bring it up into your feet, into your calves, into your thighs, into the root. Bring it up through your spinal column, taking any resistance and removing it and bring it back up through the crown and allow that go back up into the heavenlies. And today, he just removed a lot of uncomfortable feelings. Why don't you take a deep breath in, deep breath out, shake it off. When you're ready, go ahead and come back. Open your eyes. Does anybody want to share how that made them feel?
Got brighter out here. I just feel so much. Still feel so much that I hold on to.
I know we should be at the top of the hour. We're just over the hour. If you guys need to go, that's okay. Did you two want to say anything into this space?
Thank you. Thank you guys for listening to me and thank you for everything. I'm really grateful. Very appreciative.
I'll stick with you for a minute after, Kathy, and talk with you a little more. But did anybody else need anything or is everyone good?
Oh, great. That's a great exercise, Darla. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Literally
Thank
got
you.
that from a dream and I brought it back to help others because it works.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know who it was, other than Christ consciousness handed it to me and I got to hold his hands in that
Really,
fountain
man.
and it washed me clean. And I mean, it's serious. It's not my power, but I am the conduit to bring it. And I am grateful to be that conduit because it is such a relief. So
That's
y'all have a
why.
great day.
Yep. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Stick with me, Kathy. There we go. It's just you and I. I'm going to hit the end of the recording. I